Do not forget, you can support the channel with a like, and you can also subscribe to be aware of the latest published videos. Thank you. We hope that here you can find the latest news, ideas, and discoveries from the scientific world. The untold story of Walpurga Hausmannin, an infamous German witch. The legend of Walpurga Hausmannin is one of the scariest witch stories in the world. It is told as a tale of one of the most horrible killers in German history. However, the story seems to be half truth and half legend. It also holds an unsolved mystery related to one of the darkest human practices. Her exact birth date is unknown, but she was born between 1510 and 1527. For most of her life, she wasn't a particularly well-known person, but in the 16th century witch hunts she became a victim of terrible tortures and a trial which ended before it had even started. Killer witch or unstable woman, Walpurga worked as a maid for many years. She seems to have been a respected and valued worker. There are no stories about bad behavior until later in her life. Who could have imagined that she would be accused of witchcraft, vampirism, and murdering children? The accusations took place in 1587 when she was an older woman. It is known that when Walpurga was accused, she was already a widow. There is no information about her having children. She lived in poverty and perhaps hoped to die of old age, but instead she died in one of the most famous witch trials in German history. It is said that Walpurga's confession was not typical or similar to others. She said a lot, much more than she was expected to. She was tortured and began to speak. This was probably in an attempt to end her suffering. She was aware that there was no other option because the intensification of the tortures showed her that she would not survive her trial. Therefore, she started to explain things the best she could. First of all, she claimed that just after she was widowed in 1556 she had sex with a demon named Federlin. When he returned the next night he promised to save her from poverty, but she had to do some things for him. The first thing she had to do was swear and contract herself to Satan. When she agreed, Federlin apparently took her to Lucifer, who was described by Walpurga as a tall man with a long gray beard. She said that he reminded her of a great prince due to his rich jewelry and behavior. When he confirmed her contract, he invited her to drink wine, eat roasted babies, and have sex. She said that she also joined the ritual of despoiling the Blessed Sacrament, which she had stolen from the church. According to Walpurga, the demon gave her an ointment which she used to murder people and animals. She claimed that he visited her regularly to have sex, even while she was in prison. With his guidance, she decided to murder 40 children before they were baptized, and then sucked their blood. She explained that she used their bones and hair for sorcery and had eaten the bodies of the children she killed. She was sentenced to death as a result of these confessions. Walter Stevens wrote about her execution in his book. On the 20th of September 1587, Walpurga Hausmannin, a licensed midwife practicing at Dillingen in the Diocese of Augsburg in southern Germany, was burned at the stake as a witch. Walpurga confessed to a long list of maleficia, as deeds of harmful magic were called. Most of these were related to her profession as a midwife. In 12 years she had supposedly killed 41 infants and 2 mothers in labor. But she also confessed to attacking other people: Georg Klinger's small son, the wives of the governor and town scribe, Hans Striegel's cloistered daughter, and Mitchell Klingler. Of these 5 people, 3 were not expected to live, according to the contemporary account of Walpurga's trial. Nor was her maleficence limited to people. It was claimed she was blamed for the death of 9 cows, a horse, and an unspecified number of pigs and geese, and she attacked crops, causing hailstorms once or twice a year. Walpurga's right hand was cut off before she was burned on the stake. On her way to her death, she was further mutilated and tortured in public. Who was Walpurga? It is difficult to discover who Walpurga really was, but the evidence against her is not very convincing today. In fact, her own words were the strongest pieces of evidence in her conviction. However, she confessed all of her crimes under torture. Was she mentally ill, a victim of anti-witch propaganda, or was she really a serial killer? The last option on this list actually seems to be the most unlikely. When Walpurga was in prison, she was tortured without mercy, as was common common during witch trials in that part of the world. The accused woman was tortured until she admitted that she was a witch. Scholars say that the story of Walpurga is sadly typical of witchcraft trials. It was common to accuse an old woman who had her own way of living, which was not always understood by younger generations. They were often attacked and nobody protected them. Walpurga's ashes were scattered in the river. She didn't receive the privilege of being buried. Like many other women who were judged and executed due to the suspicions of a blindly religious society, she died without the right to have a real trial, one which could have used facts, not superstitions, to decide her fate.